Welcome to Story Lounge. Close your eyes and picture this. You're alone in the cockpit of a tiny plane high above the Atlantic Ocean. The sky stretches endlessly in every direction, the clouds below you a rolling sea of white. It's cold, the wind howls, and every creak of the plane reminds you of how fragile your mission is. But for Amelia Earhart, this wasn't just a flight, it was a dream realized. She wasn't just crossing the Atlantic, she was carving her name into history. Amelia was born in 1897 in Atchison, Kansas, a small-town girl with big dreams. Her family wasn't wealthy, but her childhood was rich in imagination. Young Amelia spent hours exploring, climbing trees, and building makeshift contraptions. Her curiosity was boundless. One story stands out. At age 7, Amelia and her sister made a ramp off their family's shed to mimic a roller coaster. They used an old wooden crate as their vehicle. Amelia soared off the ramp, crash-landed, and got up laughing. She told her sister, "It's just like flying." That moment was a glimpse into the fearless spirit that would one day define her. As a teenager, Amelia's life changed forever during a trip to an airfield in Toronto. She watched a plane take off, its roar vibrating through the earth. The pilot, likely just showing off, dove straight for the ground, pulling up at the last second. Everyone ducked, but not Amelia. She stood rooted, exhilarated. "Something in me awakened that day," she later said. Becoming a pilot in the 1920s was no small feat, especially for a woman. But Amelia didn't care. She scraped together money from odd jobs, working as a truck driver, a stenographer, even a photographer, to pay for flying lessons. She took her first flight lesson in 1921 with Anita Snook, a trailblazing female instructor. It wasn't glamorous. The plane was rickety with an open cockpit that let the wind slap your face. But Amelia was hooked. By 1922, she bought her first plane, a second-hand Kinner Airster, and painted it bright yellow. She called it the Canary, fitting for a bird about to take flight. In 1928, Amelia got her first taste of global fame. She was invited to join a transatlantic flight, becoming the first woman to cross the Atlantic by air. Though she was just a passenger, the flight was a historic moment. Newspapers called her Lady Lindy, comparing her to Charles Lindbergh, the first solo transatlantic pilot. But Amelia wasn't satisfied with being a passenger. She famously said, "I didn't do it alone, and I don't deserve the glory." That humility would be one of her trademarks. Newspapers' publication called Amelia Earhart Lady Lindy, comparing her to Charles Lindbergh. In 1932, Amelia decided to make her mark on her terms. She would be the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. It wasn't easy. On May 20th, she took off from Newfoundland, Canada, heading for Paris. But things didn't go as planned. Her plane was battered by strong winds and icy rain. At one point, the exhaust pipe cracked, sending flames shooting out. Most people would have turned back. Amelia pressed on. After nearly 15 hours in the air, she spotted land. Exhausted but triumphant, she landed, not in Paris but in a cow pasture in Ireland. A farmer asked her, "Have you flown far?" She smiled and said, "From America." Amelia's achievements weren't just personal victories, they were symbolic. She became a beacon of hope for women everywhere, proving they could achieve greatness in any field. She once said, "Women must try to do things as men have tried. When they fail, their failure must be a challenge to others." She wasn't just a pilot, she was a role model, pushing for gender equality in aviation and beyond. In 1937, Amelia set her sights on her biggest challenge yet, to fly around the world. By then she was already a legend, but she wanted to go further, literally. With her navigator, Fred Noonan, she had completed most of the journey. On July 2nd, they took off from Papua New Guinea, heading for Howland Island, a tiny speck in the Pacific. But somewhere along the way they disappeared. Radio operators heard fragments of her voice, but the plane was never found. To this day, her disappearance remains one of history's great mysteries. Amelia Earhart may have vanished, but her legacy is more alive than ever. She inspired generations of women to dream bigger, to push past barriers, and to take to the skies, literally and figuratively. Today, every female pilot, astronaut, and adventurer owes a debt to Amelia. She once said, "The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity." And that tenacity is what makes her a timeless icon. So, the next time you hear the hum of an airplane overhead, think of Amelia Earhart, the fearless pioneer who dared to chase the horizon. Because in the end, her story isn't just about flying. It's about courage, perseverance, and the boundless potential within us all. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. If you're as inspired by Amelia's story as we are, hit that like button, share this video with fellow dreamers, and subscribe for more stories about the people who shaped our world. See you in the next adventure.